Welcome to 23 Pounds, your source for inspiring stories from entrepreneurs and business leaders. We'll dive deep into the stories of our guests, uncovering their unique journeys to success, also exploring the obstacles they faced along the way. I'm your host, Chinonye, and today I am joined by Marc Howland. Marc Howland is the co-founder and CEO of Breadless, a Detroit-based and Black-owned 100% gluten-free eatery offering savory on-the-go sandwiches, salads, and bowls made with leafy supergreens that empower a health-conscious lifestyle. He is a graduate of Brown University and Harvard Business School with honors. As a collegiate football and track athlete, nutrition was extremely important to him, and bread made him feel bloated and tired. For the next decade, he struggled to find healthy on-the-go options without bread that actually taste good. And the options were limited, which led him to the vision for Breadless as a better alternative. Before co-founding Breadless, he worked at Jimmy John's as a sandwich maker at minimum wage to learn. And before that, he was an investment banker and private equity investor at Goldman Sachs and the Carlyle Group in New York. Marc lives in Detroit with his wife and Breadless co-founder, LC. Welcome to the show, Marc.
So happy to be here. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you. Awesome. So tell me about the inspiration behind opening Breadless, a healthy food restaurant.
Honestly, Breadless feels like a lifelong manifestation. It was not something that I envisioned. If you would have asked me, if you gave me a list of 30 options in business school and said, write down the 30 things you could be doing, launching a healthy, fast casual restaurant concept would have been nowhere on that list, right? But it feels like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, I grew up the product of a single mom trying to raise two kids. She was a public defender for 40 years, didn't have a lot of time to cook, so was eating a lot of unhealthy fast food regularly. Was very much a product of scholarship, though. Was really grateful. I went to Brown University on a full ride. I played football, ran track there, was a business economics major, and it was there where I realized, as a competitive athlete, like what I put in my body would materially impact how I looked, how I felt, my energy levels, even my reaction time. And this was before anybody was talking about any of this, but I realized if I ate bread, I would feel tired. I would feel bloated. I wouldn't be able to think as clearly. And so I just started reducing my bread intake, and I felt significantly better. For the next decade, while I was working in New York City in finance and then ultimately went to business school, I was the guy going into every single restaurant asking for the lettuce bun, the lettuce wrap instead of bread, the low-carb, gluten-free option. And what I got back were a bunch of side eyes and sloppy products that were falling apart or with just protein on top of a bed of lettuce. And after a decade, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why isn't there a better alternative to the traditional sandwich that is healthy but also packed with flavor that you can consume in an on-the-go format available to masses at scale? And I just started texting this to my then fiance and now wife and co-founder LC, who started sending me fire emojis saying, I think this can be real. I can't imagine anybody more passionate about this space than you. You have the finance background. I have the marketing background. She worked for the top marketing and advertising agencies in New York, Detroit native, went to Boston University for a business communications degree, and then was working for Gray Worldwide, Publicis, Kraftwerks, 360i, Verizon, Microsoft, all in this marketing advertising capacity. And then our other co-founder, who we decided to bring into the mix, who we had met in New York through a mutual friend, is just a culinary mastermind, chef and connoisseur. Went to the International Culinary Institute, has opened other restaurants, as caters for celebrities and weddings. And so the three of us kind of came together to create this concept, Breadless, that is 100% gluten-free, only concept in the country that is focused on sandwiches and bowls made with leafy super greens. We don't use iceberg lettuce, and we don't use bread. Iceberg lettuce is just water. Not everybody knows that, but it is. And so we use like Swiss chard, turnip greens, collard greens, and dino kale, packed with antioxidants and vitamin and minerals, but also with very unique flavor profiles, the foundation of what we do. So this emerged out of just a problem that I was experiencing for the past decade, and out of frustration for the available options out there, we came together to envision what Breadless would be.
Okay. And in addition to that, you guys have a great eye for sustainability in creating your restaurant. You guys are using green colors. You guys are also using green packaging. So tell us a little bit more about incorporating sustainability into a business model such as a fast casual restaurant that is on the path for scale.
So at its core, we are using ingredients fresh from Mother Earth, leafy super greens, right? And we utilize them in multiple facets. So not just sandwiches, but also salads and bowls. And that helps us to reduce waste, because a perfect Swiss chard leaf, for example, might be a great leaf that is fresh and going to be delicious, but maybe it's too small, right? Or maybe it's too skinny, or maybe it has holes in it. That doesn't mean it's not going to be great in a salad, but it wouldn't be great for a sandwich. So we will parse out our greens to know this is a great sandwich green, or this is a great bowl green, or a salad green, and get use out of all of them to reduce waste. We also use completely eco-friendly packaging and compost-friendly packaging. We use, even our plastic is biodegradable as well. So we think earth forward in every single thing that we do, from the greens to our packaging.
Okay. So how do you handle customer feedback and incorporate that into your menu planning and your operations?
We just try to listen to people, right? And hear what they have to say. I mean, from the days that we opened, we invented a concept from scratch, right? There was no playbook for on-the-go sandwiches, salads, and bowls made with leafy super greens. And so even though we have some great people on our team who've joined us from like Jimmy John's or related concepts who understand operations, there's no playbook for what exactly the menu should look like, how robust should it be, what are the various options available. And so we've been very much learning and listening to customers. As an example, when we first opened, when we started doing pop-ups, we had 3 sandwiches. When we opened our restaurant, we had 6 sandwiches. When we opened a restaurant, all the sandwiches were initially served cold. And then we had customers say, well, this sandwich I think would be even better if it was served warm. And we said, let's explore that. And then we had sandwiches that are served warm. And then we introduced the bowls. And then we have, some people want things that are cold as well. So we have, salads, or we have warm bowls. And so that's very much been an evolution in conversation, like with our customers. And so we try to maintain completely open lines of communication. We had a suggestion box in the store for a long period of time. We have a contact us form online, and people reach out to us. And if anybody ever leaves us a review, we take that extremely seriously, and we will read it and discuss it. And we have an internal channel that we chat about within the company of we actually have a feedback channel within our core management team, where when things get raised, we want to flag it and discuss them and figure out what we should do or any actions that we should take. So we as a very intentional community-focused brand, we want to make sure that we are being very mindful of what everybody is thinking and experiencing about our brand.
So you mentioned Jimmy John's, and then we also learned in your bio that you actually worked at Jimmy John's.
Yes, I did.
So tell us about that experience, and because that's a very unique experience, when you hear I went to business school and I worked at Jimmy John's, just tell us a little bit more about how you were able to parlay that into Breadless.
Yeah. So, I mean, interestingly, I think it was a very interesting experience applying and trying to interview for a minimum wage job after I had Harvard Business School on my resume, and at Potbelly actually declined me for a job, but I got one at Jimmy John's. And the way I thought about it was, if I'm going to be serious about trying to have a sustainable, growing brand in the fast casual space, how could I not understand what it's like to work at the lowest level and to experience what it's like day to day doing the simplest tasks within those types of companies and that type of experience, and to understand what the sandwich maker experience is like. Yeah. I should experience that to know what it's like, and it would inevitably learn a lot from it. And this was after we had already, when we came together as co-founders to envision the concept, we thought our low-hanging fruit was, well, let's start getting real feedback inside of gyms. So even related to your feedback question, I mean, we showed up with a fold-out table at gyms selling sandwiches out of brown paper bags, and we're terrified, right, when customers would come up and actually buy one and then eat it in our faces, and we have no idea what they're going to say, and other people are standing around, and so that person's experience would significantly impact anybody else's experience, and thank the Lord, they would say, this is actually really good, and then somebody else would buy one. So from that experience on, that was a learning experience, right? And then after we got all that continuous credibility, to me, the next phase of credibility or understanding the space was actually gaining some experience. And I thought, who better than a brand that I really respected for having a phenomenal operational profile and being able to get people up to speed really quickly. And so I just really wanted to learn. And so I took that mindset and the approach, and the amount of learnings that I got out of it were incredible. And even people that some people we ended up bringing on the team as well.
That's actually really good that you said that, because a lot of people kind of go into business thinking they know it all, or I'll just hire someone to do that. But in order to run a successful business, as the CEO, you have to know what everyone is doing and how everyone is doing their jobs, so that when they're giving you feedback, you can then go back to your learnings and your own knowledge and say, yes, that's great feedback, or this person is complaining with no merit. So it's great that you actually did that on the job training. And whenever you're hiring someone, you can say, hey, I've done this job, I know what it's like, and just have that more empathy when being that CEO and that leader.
So we think the same way. Empathy is everything, right? In order to really understand and help lead people, you got to understand what the experiences that they're going through, right? And if I have expectations of someone, then those are unfair expectations if I don't actually understand what that role entails. And I mean, and even today, like, there's no role that I feel like I'm above in any way, shape, or form. Like, I will go in. I mean, today I was cleaning tables and or sweeping floors, or there's no role that I'm better than. And I want the whole team to always realize that this is a team. We're in this together, and whatever you need me for, tap me in, I'll get in and help you.
So how do you engage your customers to educate them about the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle? So your foods are not just for healthy people, but you're providing a healthy option. Because I know you've talked about how you're not competing with another health store, you're competing with every other restaurant that's out there. So what brings your customers to Breadless?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you're right. I mean, people eat every single day, but they have full discretion over what they're going to eat. And I realize you have to have an option that people want to eat, so the food has to taste good. That was the logical conclusion that I was going to make. And so we don't lead with being a purely health focused brand. Our food happens to be good for you and have a lot of nutritious value, but we want you to just come to Breadless because the food is good, right? We want you to just come because you want a buck wild, or you want a jerk city chicken, or you want a spicy chickpea. And yes, you happen to be able to get all your vitamin A and vitamin C and antioxidants and leafy greens, but at the same time, it's something that you can enjoy eating. And I think that was the key. We want people to realize that, yes, Breadless is a home for anyone who has ever had to order off the menu due to your dietary preference or restrictions, because we have options for vegans, vegetarians, Whole30, keto, halal friendly as well. But first and foremost, the food is going to be full of flavor. We don't want there to be any inkling in your mind that healthy food is not going to be good tasting food, because that was the experience that I had for over a decade. So we were very intentional to say, we're not going to be that concept that's just healthy and flavorless. There's going to be flavor packed in every single thing that we do. And so we lead with that. We also lead with the fact that we're, 100% gluten-free, because 25% of people now are looking for gluten-free diets, either for legitimate medical reasons or for just, overall health benefits. And 77% of these people are also concerned about cross-contamination, which means that if there is gluten in there somewhere, they could be exposed to it and have a negative health outcome as a result. So we made the decision to be a 100% gluten-free facility to provide that peace of mind for anybody who needs to live or wants to live a gluten-free lifestyle. And that makes us actually the only concept in the country that would be able to serve sandwiches that would be able to say that is a 100% a gluten-free eatery. Because even if you are a sandwich shop that has a gluten-free option, there's gluten in there somewhere, because they got regular bread in there somewhere. So we're very intentional in that fact, to create a safe space for people to get food that is packed in nutritional value, but is also something they can consume quickly on the go, that's packed with flavor that they can enjoy eating and bring the whole family. We got things for kids. We have things for whole families, whether you want something that's even more carb friendly. We have the brown rice bowls as well, or cauliflower rices, and falafel, which is heartier and more filling and has more carbs in it, but all gluten-free.
So you talked about options for everyone. You guys also are very involved in the community. So tell us about that, because you guys are constantly partnering with other businesses. You guys are hosting events. You guys are getting people active. So tell us more about your community involvement and how it's really shaped Breadless to be what it is today.
Well, the community created us, right, as people. Like, first of all, we're all people. LC grew up down the street from where we opened Breadless, so it is a part of this community. I grew up in a similar community in Cleveland, and I'm a product of that community. And we want to do our part to facilitate and foster an improved outcome for the community as well, both in terms of providing jobs and upward mobility for people who come within our system, but improving health outcomes for the city, as well as bringing people together, which will boost more collaborations and synergies. And the more active people are, that's going to, of course, also enable them to potentially improve their own fitness goals or journeys, just connecting with others. And so, as you mentioned, we do a lot from using our space as a hub or outlet for others to bring their businesses or their fitness studios, their yoga classes, their meditation, whatever it is. We'll create space, and then we will help to share with the community that we've been building all the exciting things that others are doing, and do it in a collaborative effort, as just like one example. And then we're partnering with We Run Through and Three to do, which is a large run group, which is, we're all about empowering health conscious lifestyles. They're doing it through running and creating community. We're empowering health conscious lifestyles by creating community and providing healthy food options. And as a unit, we're empowering health conscious lifestyles by creating community through running and eating well, right? And as just like one example. And so we see all of these efforts as synergistic towards just helping the entire community to come up together, because we're very much a product from the community, and so we want to do our part to bring everybody else up with us as well.
As you're building Breadless, how are you staying up to date on either the latest research or innovations that can really help take your business to the next level?
Trying to keep our eyes and ears open, right?
Yeah.
as much as possible, and bringing people around us who can help, right? I very much realize I don't know what I don't know. I'm not somebody who grew a fast casual restaurant concept before. None of us have. None of our co-founding team has. And even the people on the team that have worked in us from industry, they've all have different experiences at different stages, right? And we know inevitably we need help with real estate. We need help understanding the complexities of deep supply chain, right? We need help thinking about the organizational structure as we continue to scale the company. And so part of my job is to understand like what are our blind spots, or what are the areas that I think could be blind spots, and then try to connect with others who have way more experience than I do in this space to help us. And we've had some incredible people coming around us, from our investment community to even like one of the former CEOs of Panera Bread became one of our investors, and he's extremely helpful and hands-on. And I can send him a text and say, I'm thinking about this, like, what do I do? How would you think about this? And so just having these types of people around us is everything for us, thinking about how we can build a nationwide brand that's creating a category where it doesn't exist, right? There's a category that exists for sandwiches, a category that exists for salads. There's no category that exists for breadless meals nationwide. So we are starting from where we are at the community level right here in Detroit, but with the vision to bring breadless to neighborhoods everywhere across the country. And it's going to take a village, a lot of help to get us there. And we can't do it without all the amazing people from investors, advisors, and the community itself to help us to get there.
Yeah. So even your employees who are there, those are really going to be the people who are going to help take the business to the next level because of that customer service that they're giving, the customers are interacting directly with them. So how do you guys create an inclusive work environment, a place that people want to go to every day? Because, you guys have been in business for a year, and most of your employees who started with you are still there. So what are you guys doing to keep people rallied up with Breadless?
So it starts from, if you walk into Breadless and you turn to the left, you're going to see a neon sign on the wall that says we're all made of something different. And that goes for our core product as well as the people who make up Breadless. Every single leafy super green that we have comes from Mother Earth. No two greens are going to be the same. The same way no two human beings are the same. And so we use that ethos as a part of our entire culture. We have probably one of the most, I can't say the most, but one of the most diverse cultural welcoming environments that I've seen. We have the majority of our staff is either Black or LGBTQ, transgender. We have a relationship with the Michigan Department of Corrections. We've had people who have given a second chance to. We have a record number of women. We just have an extremely diverse staff and crew, and we make it very known. Like, if this is not for you, don't come, because we're not gonna tolerate anything but full, not just respect, but appreciation for what everybody brings to the table. And we lead with that, and we try to be true with providing opportunities for upward mobility. People that started with us at the level of sandwich maker have been promoted to trainer or assistant manager, shift leader. And we're also preparing several of these individuals to, when we open our next store, next location, some of them are going to be promoted to being the leaders and managers of that new location. So because we are building something on the ground floor, we are creating a pipeline for true upward mobility within our system. And so we're trying to put our actions where our mouths are. And we're going to be allocating stock options or equity in our company as well for those employees, as you mentioned, who have committed to being us from the beginning. We know it's not easy, right? You could go, it'd be much easier to go work at X, Y, and Z fast food place where you have the same job, where they have their standard operating procedures tight and there's no movement and everything is known, versus you come work at Breadless and you realize, yes, we are very focused and organized and intentional, but we're still learning, right? So the SOPs may look different a week from now than it did before. And we realize that's not easy on an employee who's getting paid minimum wage. So we value you, and we know that you're as much a part of building this and providing a phenomenal customer experience and doing the little thing to go above and beyond to make that customer's day or to fix something that happened with their order. And we want you to feel invested in the growth of this company as well. So then we do become a nationwide brand. That's a material outcome for you who had potentially no other expectations when you came into this but another job. But now we hope that it's much more than a job for you.
I think, honestly, every time I go in there, everyone is always in a great mood. So I think you guys are doing a great job with that.
That means everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The question before, you mentioned investors, and a lot of the people listening to this podcast are either they're business owners or they're looking to start a business. So how do you go about, one, finding an investor and knowing that they're the right ones for you? I know when people are finding investors, some people are just looking for the money, but it goes so much deeper than that. So tell us about your journey and what you look for when working with an investor.
So I think this question is one that you have to be very careful in terms of what you mean by investor, because the investor universe is massive, and the investor universe also can cover a debt investor or an equity investor, and for what end and to what purpose. And so I think the first thought that I have is, what is your objective? What is your goal, right? If our goal was to build a nationwide category defining brand, so that means that we're going to need capital, and mostly equity capital, because we are investing in something that in the short term is not going to have the cash flow to support the roles that we're going to need to get to where we need to go. And so we're going to need equity capital, which means our equity investors are not expecting any cash from us because they expect us to grow a brand that eventually, becomes really big or has an initial public offering, and they're expecting to get paid back later. So as long as those expectations are aligned, then it was thinking about, well, who would understand our space to the tune of, or in a way that they don't have to get up to speed as much as if somebody who doesn't know anything about the space and who has been there before and does the reps, who can be helpful and help to connect us with all those blind spots and those gaps that I wasn't familiar with. So the way I thought about it was, we want to build a category defining brand in the fast casual space. So the first step was, let me find a list of every other fast casual brand that I look up to or I see as somewhere that we would want to continue to track towards them in terms of their growth profile. And then I utilized a tool, taking advantage of, so my wife at the time, right, was in business school. Yeah. She had access to, a great tool, phenomenal tool called PitchBook Data. Okay. And so I plugged in every single quick service restaurant, a fast casual restaurant, a fast food restaurant I could think of in PitchBook Data, which would then produce a list of every single investor who ever invested in those concepts. And if you are an investor who invested in an early stage round of another fast casual concept, then presumably you understand the industry, the space, and you're excited about the space. Therefore, if I connect with you, we're going to get from this, have this traction, this support, and all these other people who believe in what we're doing. Yes, we're asking way more of you than we are of them, but at least there's additional social proof and validation to help get you over the line. That's on the equity side, right? But I wouldn't say that that's the right way for every business, right? If you're not looking to grow to become a nationwide brand or look for initial public offering, you don't necessarily want to give up a chunk of your business to an equity investor, right? Like if you have a cash flow generating business today that has very reasonable growth expectations or very stepstone growth expectations, then maybe debt financing is something that you want to take on, where you don't have to give up any percentage of your business, but you're committing to then having the cash flows to pay back those lenders in the short term, right? I knew we weren't going to be able to pay back lenders in the short term, so we had to seek equity capital. But I think that the first question is like, what is your business's goals and targets, and then what type of capital would best align with that trajectory that you're looking to be on, and then figure out what are the most aligned investors for your industry, your space, and then how can you get connected to them via somebody else who can help provide you with credibility, which will just speed the process up.
Yeah, I think it's important that you also you did a family and friends round so you can show that I can do this, I do have supporters, and then you went to a major investor. That way they already know you have skin in the game, because you're going to have to answer to your family and friends.
Yeah, 100%. You're not going to leave family and friends hanging, that's for sure.
No way. So in addition to funding, what other things do your investors do? Are they mentoring you? Are they coaching you? What are some things that are not money related that you have found in investors?
Connections, resources from the stance of not knowing what I don't know. Mm-hmm. So just connecting me with other individuals in the space who have been there before, done that, who can help to fill in the blind spots that I have, whether it be supply chain related, real estate related. I'll give you one example. One of our investors emerging out of Chicago specifically only works with food and entertainment brands to scale. And so what they do is use data science from a real estate perspective to help plug into all of our systems and then determine what are the optimal areas or DMAs that we would want to put a Breadless, what would be the optimal intersection, and then collaborate with local brokers to help identify what actual locations are then possible so that we can speed up the process of site selection, right? They also have a supply chain division that will help to analyze our purchasing and figure out other ways that we can potentially lower our cost of our bags, for example, right? Because every bag, if a bag is 30 cents a bag at scale, 30 cents a bag versus 26 cents a bag, matters, right? And so they will help us with those types of things, right? Within just the Detroit ecosystem, from Invest Detroit or Detroit Venture Partners, I mean, connecting with other people in the city who have experience, other suppliers in the city who have experience, and also just promoting and evangelizing the brand. Like, all of that stuff is really helpful and beneficial, and it takes a village. So it's been we've just been extremely grateful for all of the parties that have been coming around us to help us continue to get close to our mission of bringing nutritious breadless meals to neighborhoods everywhere and empowering our communities along with it.
Great. So you guys have been officially empowering the community for a year at your brick and mortar.
Yes.
How has it been having a brick and mortar restaurant for a year? Like, what's this first year been like?
It feels incredible to be on the other side of 1 year. And I say that simply because there's nobody that you would ever talk to who would say that the restaurant industry is an industry that is really one that is forgiving. I think is a way to phrase that. And we knew that coming in, right? We knew that this is a tough industry. This is a low margin industry. Most restaurants don't last a year. Yeah. And so this is all the knowledge that we had coming in, and we're launching a product that is creating a category in an area that, frankly, a lot of people tried to tell us not to launch the concept. Like, a lot of the people who we had, since I'd spent so much time in New York City and have friends all over the world or in Miami or SF, a lot of these people try to say, you need to launch Breadless here. You need to launch Breadless in Miami or in LA, etc.
You guys launched it in Detroit.
And they're like, you're launching in Detroit? What are you doing? Like, people in Detroit are going to eat breadless sandwiches. And we're like, people in Detroit are eating breadless sandwiches and loving it, right? And that was just extremely heartwarming to see. I mean, people actually truly love our food, and they're telling us every single day. And to be able to also survive the winter, right? Like, the winter is the toughest period for most restaurants, particularly healthy restaurants, and particularly we are dealing with greens, right, that need to grow when it's nice outside. So understanding, supply chain, understanding menu evolution, understanding how to engage with your customers and consistently provide a great experience and interact with your customers, and to have the business model work and understand it through that entire cycle, and to come out on the other side and feel, like we're stronger than ever, and that we had a phenomenal year, and that people are consistently having a phenomenal experience, and that we're able to grow and expand, is just an incredible feeling. But we wouldn't even be anywhere close to this position without the incredible community that's just coming around us and giving us feedback and letting us know when things happen so that we can improve and get better, right? Like, the best coaches or the best people around you are the ones who tell you the hard things that aren't comfortable to hear, but you need to hear them, right? And
they care.
And because they care, right? And people care, and that's been accepted, and we care. So when people care, the community cares, and we care. That's a great combination. Yeah. And so, and that's where we are today. So we're feeling really invigorated and excited for what's to come. So
with the customers, tell us some of the feedback and testimonials that you've gotten from your customers.
I would just encourage anybody to go Google Breadless and start reading the reviews. Yeah. And because it's all over the map, right? Yeah. And from people just commenting on how much they loved a particular sandwich, or commenting about, like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for gluten-free options my entire life. I've been looking for low-carb options my entire life. Oh, thank goodness there's a healthy option that's available to us in the city of Detroit. I need options that don't have, all the carbs, or I can't eat bread, or I have diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Like, thank you for providing an option that I can eat. Like, these are very relevant conversations that we have almost daily, with a whole host of people, whether it's online or whether it's in passing, or people DMing us or emailing us, across all channels. And it's just something that we do not take for granted at all.
I absolutely love seeing, like, the Instagram videos of people tagging you all and eating at Breadless and making like just like awesome curated videos. And you don't see people doing that for, one, other businesses in general, or two, restaurants. So to see people taking their time to making sure they're sharing Breadless I know that's going to be so powerful for you guys.
I mean, it means everything, right? Because exactly you said, the most valuable resource anybody has is their time. So for people to take the time to showcase and to share the excitement or the experiences that they've had or the products that they've enjoyed, means everything to us.
So my last question is, what do you enjoy most about owning and operating Breadless?
Man, I mean, first of all, that every day when it's lunchtime and thinking, what am I going to eat? I wish there was a place that did not have all the carbs and extra calories that I could get right now that would be convenient. And there's a place. It's Breadless. It exists. It's nearby. I eat Breadless for lunch every single day. I get most days I'll get the bird is the word. I'll add coleslaw to it with light onions, and then get a bag of almond flour chips as well, or jicama chips to combine with it. And this is a concept that was envisioned because of a problem that I had for over a decade and almost a half now. And so to know that it's in the flesh and it's real, and people and that people are having these outcomes just means the world. And to have the stories of our employees sharing with us that they've lost 10 to 35 pounds since just working here, and this is our first store in this one location, and to think about where that vision leads to having hundreds of locations or 1,000 locations in the next couple of decades, and the impacts of people being able to enjoy something that is also benefiting their body in a material way, it just means the world to me. Like, I can't think of anything more fulfilling to leave this planet of creating options for millions of people to have food that tastes good, that's healthy at the same time, while also empowering people to have pathways to upward mobility. Like, I want to be able to use Breadless as an economic vehicle to be able to not only just continue to promote people from within, but for those who aspire to be franchisees, to be able to use my finance background to help line up capital for them so that they can truly become a franchisee, leveraging the credit of the business and the brand as opposed to their own personal credit. Because as we know, most people growing up in the community don't necessarily have a lot of personal credit or can't get access to it because banks won't give you money unless you have material assets, if you have a house, right? So we want to utilize this as an economic model to enable people to be empowered to be entrepreneurs while giving people healthy food that tastes good at the same time at scale. So I'm just feeling extremely invigorated and grateful for the opportunity that God has placed me in to be in this position, to be a vessel for being able to continue to steward this mission forward.
That is a great long-term vision, especially with the franchising and giving. You're really, like you said, creating economic power for people. And that is something that is so needed in our community, from health and economic empowerment, that is pivotal and really changing the trajectory of our world as a whole. So thank you for that. Where can people find you in Breadless?
So our first store is at 2760 Larned Street, across from the Martin Building if you're in Detroit, between Shane and King High School off of Larned. We're also on eatbreadless.com is our website. You can order online. We have a Breadless Rewards app in the Apple Play Store and in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store for pickup, delivery, curbside, catering. Also, you can find us on social media at Breadless. Very active, as you mentioned, across social media, particularly on Instagram.
Okay. Everyone, thank you so much for following 43 Pounds. And thank you to our guest, Marc, for joining us today. And we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thanks. This was a great episode.